So it looks like we finally have a little come to Jesus moment on the American strike on an Iranian nuclear facility. The Iranians collapsed instantly and acknowledged that they've got some serious issues there now, and they don't want any more of this. That's exactly what was supposed to happen. But our friends in the news media, the media and their Democrats, have decided that no, it wasn't enough. And somehow we went from Iran was years away from a nuclear weapon to now they are like months away from a nuclear weapon, which is weird because we dropped bombs, multiple bombs, on all of their facilities, and they're now telling us that somehow they became more capable after the bombings. It doesn't make any sense. What does make sense is Karoline Leavitt, the press secretary for the President of the United States, to absolutely eviscerate CNN for continuing to employ a reporter that gets everything wrong. She destroys this person, and it is a thing of beauty. And hang around afterwards because you're going to see a bunch of before and after clips from CNN reporters. A total embarrassment, and Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth are absolutely correct to destroy them at every opportunity.
Way to get to the bottom of just how effective these strikes were.
Yes. Well, I can assure you what the CIA director said, that when we look at the entirety of the intelligence that we have to this date, it concludes that these strikes on the Iranian nuclear facilities were absolutely successful. It was a total obliteration, as the president said. And not only does our own intelligence say that, but also the Iranian foreign minister has said that. We saw Israel conclude the same thing based on their own intelligence. We also had the United Nations say that as well. So I think the only other time the United Nations, Israel, Iran, and the United States has agreed on something is that the sky is blue, but they all agree that Iran's nuclear facilities were completely demolished. And I would just like to reemphasize, you mentioned this was a low confidence preliminary intelligence assessment, and the entirety of that assessment was not leaked to the media. Only tidbits of that assessment were leaked to CNN. And we have seen this playbook run before, where you have people in the intelligence community, or perhaps on Capitol Hill, we don't know, but I believe the FBI is investigating to find out who that leaker was, because it's illegal and they should be held accountable for that. Leaked bits and pieces of an intel assessment to push a false narrative. And it's to the same reporter, I will add, Natasha Bertrand of CNN, who has done this in the past. In 2020, it was Natasha Bertrand who had 51 intelligence analysts falsely lie to her, but she still put it on paper for some reason, that the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation. We all know that's not true, right? We can all agree on that now. That was a lie from the intelligence community. Also in 2020, this same reporter, Natasha Bertrand, wrote that a top intel agency ruled out the man-made lab leak theory of the coronavirus origins. Again, the president was right about that. This reporter wrote a lie from the intelligence community to seek a narrative she wanted to prove, and guess what? We now know that's the truth. Also, in 2024, Bertrand pushed the suckers and losers hoax. She also pushed the fine people hoax, which was taking the president's words purposely out of context. And then last October, and I believe this is notable, Natasha Bertrand published an article in Politico from the intelligence agency. She said that John Ratcliffe was speaking without any evidence when he said Iran was attempting to undermine President Trump's presidential campaign. And then we, of course, found out that was absolutely true. In fact, the Biden administration declassed an intel report which said they had high confidence that Iran had done exactly what Ratcliffe alleged. They did run an influence campaign to hurt President Trump's candidacy. In fact, we know the Iranians tried to take President Trump's life. And so this is a reporter who has been unfortunately used by people who dislike Donald Trump in this government to push fake and false narratives. She should be ashamed of herself. And that's not what reporting is. Journalism is trying to find the facts and the truth. And this week we saw this same reporter being used to push a fake narrative to try to undermine the president of the United States, and more importantly, the brave fighter pilots who conducted one of the most successful operations in United States history. And I think the American people fully know that this operation was a complete and total success. Elizabeth.
Thank you, Caroline. The Miami Herald recently published a story saying the Trump administration was targeting migrant foster children.
This timeline of Iran being a few weeks away from a nuclear bomb is in direct contradiction to CNN's reporting. According to U.S. intelligence assessments, Iran is 3 years away from being able to produce a nuclear weapon if they wanted to. So the facts on Iran getting a nuclear weapon do not bear out the claim at the heart of what has put the world on the verge of world war. It only set back the Iranian nuclear program by months. We got to call it like it is. It's a big deal.
Asking questions is literally our job. Demanding facts and answers instead of just taking a president's word for it. But what about the entire nuclear program? Is it all gone? An initial intelligence assessment that said that the U.S. strikes did not destroy the core components of the country's nuclear program and likely only set it back by months. It is, of course, possible that at some point after more intelligence assessments are completed, the president's claims of total obliteration of the entire program could bear out to be true. But so much right now remains unknown. We still do not know what is underneath all the rubble at these bombed out sites. Has everything been completely destroyed? Now, CNN was first to report that one early DIA, or Defense Intelligence Agency, assessment suggested that the U.S. military strikes on Iran this weekend did not completely destroy the core components of Iran's nuclear program. Joining us now, CNN political and global affairs analyst Barak Ravid. What are you hearing from your Israeli sources about the assessment of the damage 4 days after?
I have to tell you, a senior Israeli intelligence official told me today that overall, other than the fact that he's using the word obliterated, but overall, the Israeli intelligence assessment shows that the reality is much closer to where Trump says it is than to where the initial DIA report said it was. And obviously, a few days passed since that DIA report and more information. We have more information about what exactly happened. But one of the interesting things that the Israeli intelligence learned over the last 24 hours is that in Fordow, the damages are also inside the compound, underground. There is intelligence that shows that there has been internal collapse, underground collapse inside the facility, which is something that shows us that it was badly damaged. Because if you have centrifuges in this facility and there was a penetration of a bomb inside and there was collapse inside, then those centrifuges are gone.